Testing.
Did you ever scan the packet?
I scanned it. You need me to send it to you?
If you want, so I could post it. If anyone wants to see it.
You ready to go?
I'm ready if you guys are.
Here, let me give all the other council members a little jump start.
Right, they're muted right now.
So that would be the motion.
Thank you.
Do you
I
so,
so move.
okay,
I will second.
thank you, Councilman Ramirez. Angie, would you like to call the roll?
Yes. Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Preciado,
Aye.
Councilman Hernandez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Woolley,
Aye. Okay, 4-0, motion passes. Our second item for business is the city clerk will now open the nominations to fill the mayor pro tem position. This is also an action item.
yes. And I will be opening nominations for Mayor Pro Tem.
And this is Mike Farley, your city attorney again. Let me briefly explain to you the process that you're now going through. I sent a memo. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review it with the attachments, but let me walk you through it just so there's no confusion. When your city, under your ordinance, you adopt the California Government Code. Under the California Government Code, when the mayor resigns, the mayor pro tem automatically goes into that position. Then that creates a vacancy in the mayor pro tem's position, not the mayor's position. The mayor pro tem, who is now your mayor by automatic succession, will sit in that position until such time as there is another reorganization, which under the way your bylaws and or government code provide is that will be until the certification of the election in November. At that time, you will do another reorganization. So you're making a motion, you're nominating a mayor pro tem. Nominations do not, NOT, do not require a second. A motion to close nominations requires a second and a majority vote. So once you're satisfied that all your nominations are in, and anybody can nominate as many as they want, by the way. Someone would make a motion to close the nominations. It would be seconded and voted on. Then you would cast your vote for the nominees, and the first nominee to receive a majority vote would be your new mayor pro tem. And then, as you'll see on your agenda, you would then eventually move into the replacement of the vacancy that's been created on a council, for the council. Under the government code again, and this is all the rules we all follow, that person would sit because of where the resignation fell in terms of his term. If it had fallen in the first 2 years, a different rule would apply. But he's in the second 2 years, and so the person would sit for the duration of the term, which is November. You would have the right to make that appointment. You have 60 days to do so. If you opt out not to make it, then because the vacancy would be created in November, you'd wait for the general election. It would make no sense, even though you have the power to do so, to have a special election with a general election around the corner. So let's go through that again. You're going to nominate the open nominations, not a second. To close nominations requires a motion and a second. The first nominee to receive the majority votes is your new your new mayor pro tem. Same procedure for filling the vacancy. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, open nominations for Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like to nominate Alvaro Preciado for Mayor Pro Tem.
Are there any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, a motion to close nominations with a second and vote would be appropriate.
Does someone want to make a motion to close the nominations, please?
I would so for move.
Thank you, Councilman Hernandez. Is there a second? We need a second on this.
I make a motion to close nominations.
You mean, you're seconding that motion, right?
Mr. Yeah,
Yes, I'm
Preciado
second the
has
motion.
seconded.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilman Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilman Preciado.
Aye.
I don't need to do roll call.
Yes, it's a motion. It's a motion, so we have to do roll call.
Give me
Councilman
roll call.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Woolley,
Aye.
So you now have your new mayor pro tem. Congratulations. Let me just conclude this portion with, there's been some discussion about your bylaws. Do you have bylaws? What's the process? There was discussion prior to this resignation as to whether or not you could simply have a new election before November. The answer, given your current state of where you are in your governing rules, you cannot. However, I did do quite a bit of research. You can, at any time you wish, by resolution, pass bylaws and or pass a process or procedure whereby you can, in this situation, you could nominate the mayor pro tem, but only sit until such time as you filled the mayor's position. So in other words, the way you're set up is you follow the government code, which follows Robert's Rules of Order, which Robert's Rules of Order is the vice president under the Robert's Rules of Order, which is your mayor pro tem, automatically goes into that position. It is possible by resolution, if you so wish, to do a different process whereby if there's a vacancy for the mayor or a vacancy for the mayor pro tem, you can fill that without the succession taking place. Likewise, you can also, if you so desire, as you had thought you wanted to do or someone wanted to do a while back, you could provide in that resolution that at any time, with or without cause, a majority of the council could vote to remove the mayor and vote to remove the mayor pro tem. There's a city I found that has actually passed that resolution recently. This is a new process that is now allowed. You have to decide that's what you want to do. In reviewing the comments on it, it's easy to do, and it creates havoc, and obviously not a good working relationship if every other meeting someone wants to remove the mayor or the mayor pro tem. But I felt obligated to tell you that since there have been numerous questions regarding how do we amend our bylaws, how do we do that? The answer is, you tell me what you want. If it's proper, we can put it in the form of a resolution. Not tonight. That would be for a subsequent agenda item, but I wanted to tell you that. So we move, that would close. So now you've got a mayor pro tem. I've explained to you how you can do it in the future if you don't like your current process. Move on to the next item, I guess. Unless someone has questions. Anybody have any questions about what I've said?
I do have a question. We do have a study session scheduled for next agenda, and it's going to involve all of these bylaws and all that reorganization process, correct?
Yes, it was regarding reorganization, the policies that are in place, and bylaws. That was what we had.
Okay. Would that also include an item on the agenda, an action item, or is just only a study session?
We understood it was just for study session during closing comments.
So at the end of your study session next time, you can ask that it be put on the agenda. However, when you do put it on the agenda, you will need to, I would recommend at that time, you vote, you discuss in open session what it is you want. So do you want to have the mayor pro tem positions filled by simple motion, which you can do, versus an automatic succession? Do you want to also provide whether or not you want to remove them at will anytime a majority so feels fit. That's your rights to do that. I'm just here to tell you that is a really bad way to run government. You will probably end up creating unbelievable feelings, but you have that right. My recommendation would be, if you don't like the way things work now with the succession, my recommendation would be at your study session to think about just filling the position as opposed to having an automatic succession. So, but I wouldn't do the other, that is the ability to remove the elected mayor or mayor pro tem with or without cause at any meeting with a majority vote. But that's it. Any other questions of me? Okay.
All right, if there are no other questions, we'll move on to new business. This is consider the direction action regarding the vacant city council seat, which term expires in November. Melissa, do you want to go over our options?
I believe our attorney has covered, but I'll definitely give just
Okay.
a short summary review. With our letter of resignation, it's been accepted by council. There are basically two ways to go. Council can appoint someone, you have 60 days to do so, that being from the date the resignation was received. That would have been the 17th of July. And you would have until September 15th to fill. Or it would go to a special election. But as I noted in the staff report, the resignation is within 109 days of the next general election. So therefore, and as Mr. Farley pointed out, the council seat, it would be better to go ahead and put it on the November 3rd ballot. From September 15th to November 3rd is only 49 days too, just to point that out. There is one other item, however, it's a little bit late to do this, is that council could adopt your own ordinance. We would have to meet the statutory requirements, but anything over and above that could be included in the ordinance. But again, it would be very difficult to get something through in time or to go forward with that item. So if the city council desires to fill the vacancy by appointment, the appointment must be made within 60 days, that being September 15th. Staff could advertise the vacancy and provide an application form to those interested in the position. We have applications already. A schedule would be established for application period, council review period, city council interview of candidates, and then the seating of the new council. Again, in that case, 60-day period would require an appointment made by September 15th. And again, I point out September 15th to November 3rd is only 49 days. And if council chooses not to appoint, then this item will go before the voters November 3rd, and they would decide they would like to fill that position. So we're looking for discussion, direction, action from council on what you would like to do to address this.
Is there any discussion on this item?
Yeah, I have a question. Since, since it was mentioned that there's only a 60-day period in which we can fill in the position, does the city, face any kind of legal trouble by not doing so, or can we go without filling the position? Sanctions?
That's a good question. If you weren't close to a general election, I would say yes. You could technically run into a situation where a citizen could file a complaint requiring a special election. And actually, there's a provision under the code where the Kings County Board of Supervisors could push the issue. That's rarely, if ever, done. What happens in these situations, and I was looking for, I figured this question would come up, and I think I counted 10 cities that are in the same, and I didn't look at every city, I stopped counting, who are very similar to you in that either through death or resignation, a council member is left leaving a vacancy, And all of them, without exception, have decided to wait for the general election. So normally I would tell you, fill it, you better fill it, or someone's going to force you into a special election. But you're so close to the general election, I just don't think that's a risk that you need to worry about.
A special election would be very costly.
Special election would cost you about 15 to 20,000. You would pay for that, and it would make no sense because then that person would have to stand for election 10 days later or 20 days later by the time they certified the results. So that's why a lot of the cities in your same position are just saying, no, we're going to wait. And there's really virtually, I don't want to say there is no risk, but I would say it's so minimal or de minimis that I wouldn't worry about it.
Are there any other questions, suggestions? What is the pleasure of the council?
I would personally say that we should fill in that position. I'm not sure how the rest of the council feels.
I didn't get the comment, I'm sorry.
I just said,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think we should fill in that position.
Can you repeat that again? Yeah, being muted and unmuted, so I didn't get that part.
Yes, so I will repeat. I was just saying that we should fill in that position. That would be my recommendation. I'm not sure what the rest of the council feels would be proper to do.
Well, my suggestion would be, since we have time, 60 days, I think we should move and give direction for council to appoint to fill that position, and that way we can move forward at this time.
Pablo,
I
Councilman
agree with
Hernandez,
Mr.
what is your
Preciado and
opinion? Excuse me?
I agree with I agree with Mr. Preciado and Mr. Ramirez in that issue.
So
I also agree with them.
I'm going to make sure, this is Mike again, your city attorney. What you're wanting to fill the position, is that, because I'm having a little audio problem on my end, is that the idea that you're thinking of, is to fill this position before the election?
Correct.
Okay, so then what you've done in the past procedurally is you've advertised, or you've directed staff to advertise, for those positions, for that position, excuse me. And then, you would say they do it by X date. So if you're going to do that, and the motion tonight would be something to the effect that you would ask staff to advertise to fill the vacancy, and all applicants should submit their application before, and then you would pick a date. And then those applications would come to you in open session, and you could vote at that time. And then it's not a secret ballot, it's an open ballot. So when you vote to fill it, it's done publicly. That would be your motion if that's what you folks want to do.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make that motion to direct staff to advertise to fill in the vacant seat.
And we need a date for the applications to be in, to go in that motion.
So staff would advertise that there's a vacancy. You need to direct staff to close the process by a certain date, 3 weeks out, a month out, whatever you would like to put in your motion. Because when you get it, then staff will accumulate the applications, and then you would put it on the next regularly scheduled meeting. You would then discuss it among yourselves, and if you were satisfied, you would then vote for one or more. And again, it'd be very similar to what you did tonight. The first applicant to get the majority vote would be your next, or would be that council person. What
Just,
date would you like staff to close advertising or notification by? You should put that in your motion.
The next regular meeting is scheduled, just for information, would be September 10th, Thursday, September 10th.
would you need the applications before that to be able to get everything ready for that night?
Yes, to make sure the council has time to review so they can interview. And if council would like to set up a separate date to actually speak with and interview those candidates, just let me know and we can get that scheduled. And with the appointment, the potential for an appointment on the 10th of September.
So you would close application submittal date by, let's just say, oh, I don't know, August 24, or August 17 maybe, and then you would direct staff to set a interview meeting for, a few days thereafter, and you would have it on your regular agenda for the 10th or whatever that is. So, the motion would be to close. Your motion would include under that scenario a date to close the applicants with a date also for oral interviews. And all that's done in public.
Okay, so I will modify that motion to direct staff to advertise to fill in the vacant seat and to close the application period until August 28th for us to fill the vacant seat by September 10th.
Would you like to have any oral interview between the closing date and the September 10 meeting? If not, that's fine. I just want to make sure you have that option.
Can we do interview September 3rd? Would that be?
Sure. That part of your motion?
Yes.
All right, there you have the motion. So now you wait for a second.
I would like to make a motion, second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second for directing staff to advertise, to collect applications, closing that date off on August 28th, to set up interviews for September 3rd for an appointment on September 10th. Angie, would you please call the roll? Angie?
Sorry, I'll go ahead. Mayor Woolley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Preciado,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Preciado.
He said aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Hernandez,
Aye.
okay, we have a 4-0 vote.
Okay, motion passes. So staff has their direction on that item.
Thank you.
Our last item on this special agenda is consider support for Kings County Action Organization's CARES Act funding application. And I believe we have member, some representation here. I don't see him, but
I believe Jeff was on, Mr. Garner was on the line. He's the executive
He's here.
director.
He's here on
Yes.
business,
He's
yeah.
still,
he's still here.
okay.
Okay, Mr. Garner, would you like to talk to us about that?
Yes, good afternoon, council and staff, people of Avenal. It's a pleasure to join you as part of your special meeting tonight. My name is Jeff Garner. I'm the executive director of Kings Community Action Organization, and we've been very fortunate to have a long-standing partnership with the city of Avenal on a variety of projects. And so this is a new project that we are exploring, and we are exploring it at a very rapid speed, probably a lot quicker than we would want to journey down this path, but these are the rules that have been set up by the state. So I wanted to share with you what we are exploring and what we have talked to Melissa about, your city manager, as well as key city staff regarding this idea and what it potentially holds for the city of Avenal. And then I don't know if Assam Abed is on the call, but he is from the County Human Services Agency. And so he's been a major part with this potential project as well. So he might, if he's on the call, he could probably chime in as well and fill in some of the gaps that maybe I don't cover. But let me kind of start back to where things are and how we got to this point. So during COVID-19, the governor announced a project called Project Room Key. And Project Room Key is to help homeless individuals who are facing serious health issues or are exposed to COVID-19. It would provide them a living situation through a motel. So that was called Project Room Key. It is still happening today. Those services are being offered through the county. So now what's happening is there's a new phase to this project, and it's called Project Home Key. And what the state is doing is they're making available $600 million throughout the state, and it's open to public agencies and tribal councils, as well as housing authorities, to apply for these funds. And the purpose of the funding is to help cities or counties purchase motels or apartment complexes that are vacant, and to transition those units into affordable housing. And it would be long-term housing for individuals who are homeless. And so the state put out the application for this funding about 2 weeks ago. The first round of applications are due August 13th, so it's next week. But then that's for priority projects, and I can go over that a little bit more. But if we miss the August 13th deadline, there's another date at the end of September that you could then submit an application. The August 13th deadline, what that does, it does allow extra points for your application. So what we are looking at, and why we've had this preliminary discussion with the city of Avenal, is we have looked at a motel in the city of Avenal called the Lodge House. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the property. And we have, the county actually has had initial discussions with the owner of the property about his interest in selling the property to the county, and using that property for home key. And those units, those motel units, would be converted into apartments, and it would provide affordable housing for individuals who are homeless. Most likely it's going to be single individuals based on the room size. There's a chance for families, but the majority of the units would be occupied by single individuals, male or female. But currently there's about 300 individuals who are homeless right now in Kings County. So the idea would be that these units would be made available to the homeless individuals to occupy. Now, that being said, the project would go into greater depth, mostly being that KCAO would be the ones operating the units, and we would be providing on-site support for each individual that is occupying one of those units. And we would be providing support services around the clock for those individuals, but we would also facilitate other agencies to be on site as well, like behavioral health, like the Human Services Agency for the county, public health, other community-based organizations like Proteus. We would really try to create this service site where these individuals would have all these services provided to them without really trying to have them leave that property. But the goal too is to make sure that these individuals, we work with them to where they transition to where they can self-sustain that housing unit, meaning either, you know, they would be asked to pay rent, they would be asked to, if they are able to work, we would try to get them connected to an employment opportunity. If they are disabled or unable to work, then we would work to make sure that they are getting the benefits that they need in order to maintain that housing environment. So that's kind of the big picture, and that's what we were looking at with the Lodge House Inn Motel there in Avenal, is to really provide an opportunity to transform that environment, bring in additional resources for the city of Avenal that would be available not only to the tenants in that property or at that property, but to all Avenal residents. And it really would help to usher in additional resources for the community of Avenal. KCAO, we would work with the county to where the county would deed the property over to KCAO, and we would then own the property, and we would be responsible for the upkeep as well as the management of the property, which we do have a long track record of managing domestic violence and women's shelter in Kings County, as well as some other housing units that we've rented out to individuals who are seeking affordable housing. So that's the conversations that we've had up to this point with your city leaders. And so heading into today, I was able to sit in on the Board of Supervisors at the county. They had a meeting today because they're needing the green light to move forward in submitting an application. In what the county had proposed, the Human Services Agency, is they have narrowed down their focus right now to 2 projects that they are seeking to apply for. The Avenal site did not make the list at this moment for something for the county to consider through the grant application process. So they are looking at other sites around the county that can be converted into apartments or housing structure relatively soon. So that turns me to really the next big issue, and that is the timing of this grant. So as I mentioned, the grant's due in August. That's the first round applications is in September. What the state has made clear is that the money has to be spent by the end of December 2020. So that means that with that money, you have to buy the property and you have to rehab the property to where it is ready to house individuals within 90 days of buying the property. So, I mean, you can just imagine that's a really short turnaround time. So the county right now is prioritizing sites that could be turnkey ready or as close. So I did talk to the county this afternoon after the Board of Supervisors meeting, and I shared with them, you know, what can we work with the city of Avenal on to see if this is a project that can get higher on the list in terms of what the county wants to apply for. And really the 2 big things that came out of it, one is the county did make clear that the city of Avenal can apply for the funds directly, but with a really tight deadline, it's hard. And so that might be an option that might not be on the table. The other option, as they said, is that through zoning rules and through code enforcement, if the motel that is there now, the Lodge House Inn, if we can get guidance from the city of Avenal that allows these units to serve as apartment units with little rehab needed in order to meet the 90-day criteria of having them up and operating, then that does create an opportunity to move this project higher on the list for the county to consider. So that's the last conversation that I had with the county. The county excited about the opportunity and really the openness so far that the city of Avenal has showed in this project. And so they're just trying to really, these competitive grant applications, they're really trying to put the best application forward to ensure that Kings County as a whole receives this funding, because Kings County will be competing against all counties in the state. So they want to make sure that they will be able to meet all of the tight requirements that the state is putting on this this project. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, go into greater detail with any parts of these projects, but I would love to answer any questions that the council or staff might have at this time.
Mr. Jeff, I have a comment, speaking about the Avenal Lodge. I know that it's currently being leased by a farm labor contractor that has a lot of employees working there at the moment. And me being a farm labor contractor, when we provide housing to employees, we get inspection from the U.S. Department of Labor and have to be compliant with the basics of housing and stuff like that. And I do see that this farm labor contractor has probably 120, 150 people living there. So I know they meet the requirements to provide housing. Otherwise, the U.S. Department of Labor, prior to that happening, they will come and say, this is, the living conditions are not acceptable. We won't allow you to have individuals living here. So I know that going from my experience on that they should be compliant, but I'm not sure if you would need further on that.
No, that's definitely good to know. And I know when the county visited the property, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, they were encouraged to see that a lot of the units were already set up with like these kitchenette areas. Really, it will kind of look like long-term living environment. So, that goes to your point that maybe it is closer than what we are thinking at this moment.
Yeah, because I know they're inspected by the U.S. Department of Labor. That's the federal government. So, if they passed an inspection of such kind, I'm sure that it would pass.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause at this moment, that is the capacity gap that's missing, is that the county Human Services Agency, they don't have the capacity to do a large scale development and rehabbing a property. KCAO, we don't have that capacity either. So if there was a property like this one in Avenal that, will need a little bit of upgrades and improvements that are needed to make it to serve as an apartment complex, then that helps. That helps our case. It helps the county's consideration as well. So that is something that we are interested in learning more from the city of Avenal, I guess, how close those units are from being considered like an apartment complex or an apartment unit.
The property is zoned for a hotel, for motel. And so what Fernando and I will be looking at is if there is anywhere within that zone that there could be dwelling units plus services, to see if that would fit somewhere, which actually would help this project along the way. But again, we have to stay within our own guidelines. So that is what Fernando and I will be checking into rather quickly. Are there any other questions for Mr. Gardner? Or comments? What we are requesting. Oh, excuse me.
I do have a question. Okay, you mentioned there's about 300 homeless in Kings County. With the lodging house will accommodate how many? And also, what kind of services would the community of Avenal will benefit from the ones you mentioned that will not only be available to residents, but also to the community. Can you elaborate more on that? Thank you.
Yeah, no, really good question. So currently, based on the point in time study that was done each year to count the number of homeless individuals in Kings County, there are 305 was the total. And right now, I believe the Lodge House has 60 motel rooms, maybe a little bit above that. So it wouldn't be, all, but it would definitely be a big impact in getting the homeless housed. And then in terms of just the general services and what would be provided there, what we would set out to do is to create these satellite offices to where behavioral health, KCAO, human services, they would have these office areas, which would allow them not only to meet with the tenants in the program, but also to meet with the general population. Services would range from counseling services that would be available to KCAO. We would provide utility assistance for those individuals at the complex, as well as the general population. So it really would create opportunities for Avenal residents, or to avoid Avenal residents having to come in to a central location like Hanford or Lemoore, and we can actually bring those services out to the community. But we also feel like, with a lot of these housing programs that are starting to unfold throughout the state, there's always a lot of money that's tailing housing programs, like job training programs that could be made available not only, again, to the clients in the program, but to the general population there in Avenal. It does create business opportunities where, through a job training program, it could create a larger workforce in the community of Avenal. So in terms of services, I think it really would help just to create a magnet for more service providers to come in, have an audience that they would be able to serve there with the housing clients, but then also make those services available to the general population.
Thank you. I have one question. You stated the number of homeless recorded in Kings County. Do you have that broken down by town? Do you know how many is in Avenel?
I don't, that's a good question. I don't have the number that's in Avenal. I know a high majority of the 305 are based in Hanford, but I don't know what the individual count is in Avenal.
Are there any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to mention too, and in terms of how the HUD, the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, defines homelessness, we do have the street homeless, which this program would focus on. But you also have homeless individuals that, you have multifamilies that are sharing one house. You have an individual living in the garage or sleeping on the couch. Those individuals are considered homeless as well. So this would create an opportunity to house those individuals in an environment that is more suitable for long-term housing. So I want to make it clear too that yes, you kind of have the visual homeless that you see out on the street at times, but then you also have individuals that are just struggling overall to find affordable housing. So this would create some of those opportunities, especially for single individuals.
If there are no other questions, I believe this
I do have another question.
Okay.
How about jobs? Would that create any jobs for the community of Avenal?
I would say initially, I can't say that it would. I do feel like, as I mentioned, a lot of these housing programs they come with tailing funding to help create an environment that helps individuals sustain their housing. And some of that funding does include job training, workforce development. It creates economic investments into local businesses that will help to hire these individuals in the housing program. So I can't say initially that will happen, but we do feel like, the success of the program will require a work component in order for these individuals to maintain their housing. So that is something I could see long-term that we try to develop to create a sustainable model.
Okay, this is an action item. I believe what you're looking for, Mr. Garner, is a letter of support for the grant application from the city of Avenel.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, we just hopefully to keep the conversation going and as part of the application process, if this is something that we can continue on with the county, then the letters would go, would be a good addition to the grant application and to show that we have a willing partner with the city to continue to explore this option. So yes, I'm hoping that the council will consider a letter of support tonight.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion with the letter of support.
Thank you, Councilman Ramirez. Is there a second?
And I do make a second.
Thank
the
you,
motion.
Councilman Preciado. We have a first and a second. Angie, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Preciado,
Aye.
Mayor Woolley.
Aye. 4-0, that passes. Melissa, can you draft that letter for us,
I will
please?
do that.
Thank you very much.
This is my pride. I'm not on your matter. I just have to, on a separate matter. I have to another Zoom at 5. So, and I notice you're getting towards the end of your agenda. Was there anything the council wished to address with me before I go to Zooming to another Zoom? I guess not.
Apparently all's good. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Mr. Farley.
Your study session, let me know, okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, I am on in case anybody needed anything. So,
The big swap.
yep, the big swap.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is public time to comment. Angie, would you please read that statement?
Any person may directly address the city council, the council agency at this time on items on the agenda or any other items of interest to the public that is within subject matter jurisdiction of the city council successor agency. State law prohibits any member of the city council agency from commenting or acting on matters not on the agenda. 3 minutes are allowed per person.
Okay, if there's anyone who'd like to speak on anything tonight, please let us know. Tony and Umberto, would you monitor our other?
Yes, I will let you know if there's any comments. Umberto's gonna post a question or post that
Thank
right
you.
now.
Are you guys ready for public comment? I just have a short comment that I'd like to make. This is
Yes.
Veronica Aguirre.
Go ahead,
Good
Veronica.
everybody, or late afternoon. I just wanted to make a comment in regards to the time of the meeting. I'm not sure if this is something that happens regularly at 4, but in order to continue to have transparency, equity, and language access, I think it's important that all the community have time to be able to attend these meetings, not at 4 o'clock. Generally, the public, that works either in the fields or people like me, we get off at 5 o'clock. So for us to be able to properly participate, you can't be changing meetings at 4 when people are at work and expect that everyone has the opportunity to voice their opinions or general concerns like I'm voicing mine now. Luckily, I was able to get on here at work, but I know there was a number of people that wanted to attend these meetings and they can't. So I just hope that, in the future, this would be taken into consideration, that if you hold meetings that have to do in regards to the public or the community, you do it at a time that is fair to everyone. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, for your comments. Is there anyone else that's online?
We're looking right now. 1 second.
Okay.
You guys mind if I read a comment that came a few minutes ago regarding the home key?
Go ahead.
And Anthony Valencia commented, two big concerns. Where will the H-2B visa employees that year by year come and work hard around our town? Number two, we do not know what thoughts people that will be coming if it gets approved. That will create. Oh, yeah, he actually asked us to read it, but now I lost the comment. Sorry, 1 second. Do you have that one, Humberto? Like, switch for me right now. There is a comment, but I don't know if he changed the comment or. I apologize, council. Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah, it's on Facebook. Oh, here it's back again. And he did ask us to read that comment. So sorry, it's second one again. We do not know what thoughts people that will be coming if it gets approved that will create any negative impact. In my opinion, each city should shelter their own homeless with all respect. We don't know how well others from other cities will act towards our community. And then another from a Rosa saying, please keep in mind of the labor workers currently living at the lodge. Where will they go? Those are the comments up till now.
Thank you. Umberto, do you have anything?
I've given it about 2 minutes and we have nothing over here, so we're good.
Okay, then we will close public comment. We're down to correspondence and announcements. City Council Successor Agency, does they have any communication?
They do not. I don't have any correspondence for the city council at this time.
Thank you. City Manager.
I just wanted to-
Successor Agency. I'm looking at this.
I would like to congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Preciado on his appointment. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Hernandez, any comments?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Councilman Ramirez?
No comments at this time.
Thank you very much. Councilman Preciado?
Just want to thank everyone for the support that showed tonight. And I'm sure that we'll be looking at all the cons with new projects that we cover, but I hope that we'll work it out and hopefully move in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to congratulate Councilman Preciado for being elected Mayor Pro Tem. And thank you for everyone for taking their time out today to take care of this business. With that, I close the council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Tony.
Tony and Umberto.
No problem.